This is a new session we're going to trial, an initiative of Stacey's Q&A type program to probably flush out what speakers spoke about today and bring it back to a grower level. So it's a Q&A from the audience as well, with an illustrious group of growers. Peter Holt at the end, Ian McFarlane, David Crawford, and Ryan Norton. So an illustrious group. You're in good company, Peter.
The little growers to the big growers.
No, I'm the other way. Fire away, I think. Maybe Ryan takes the first question, which Stacey's prepared for us. After today's pest presentations, what's the first thing you're checking when you get back to the orchard? Your boss wants to know.
Can you hear me? Is that on?
Yeah.
Probably the first things we'll be looking for is to make sure we did a lot of hygiene this year, a lot of mummy shakes, a lot of blowing, and a lot of flailing. So just to double check that with how much food's left in the orchard in regards to supplying Carpophilus with food. So Carpophilus is our biggest worry at the moment. I'm not that worried about Heliosis moths. I think that was a once-off flight that come down on a northerly wind, but Carpophilus we had a bit last year, and it really scares me. I'm also an almond grower, obviously, and I know what it's done to the almond industry. So Carpophilus checks throughout from now on in will be something we look at carefully.
And you'll start that now.
We've actually started that at the end of last year, so but that's definitely something that we've got on our radar for our meetings once a week. Have Carpophilus in those meetings.
Okay, probably a good take home for the rest of us. Ian?
G'day. When I started growing, one of the main reasons I got into it was because there weren't really a lot of diseases or pests that affected pistachios, and it seems like every year I come to one of these meetings there's a new pest. So from my point of view,
including Peter Holt.
Yeah, there's a serial little pest here, but I think earlier this season I kind of contacted one of the companies that does the I think I'll get them in to do the checking for pests and diseases this year, and it's not something I've grown stuff my whole life, not something I've ever done before, but just I think with the pistachios it's quite important with these new with the new pests, the beetle and the grubs, and a lot of the products that you use are quite. You need to get your timing perfect with them, so I think to get monitoring, I think it'll probably pay for itself in saving chemical and getting the most value from the chemical that I use. So that's probably my plan with these pests that seem to be becoming more prevalent every year.
Pete?
Hi, Peter Holt, I am. Can you hear me?
Unfortunately.
With the moth, we used a BT spray there when we detected it a couple of years ago, and we did find it in the first year we found it in the orchard, but then we used a BT spray the year after. And well, there wasn't much last year. The beetle, I think Swan Hill Chemicals came to my farm last year and looked for it. They couldn't find much. Even though I'm so close to the almonds right next door, for some reason we didn't find much beetle there, did you? Who done it last year?
I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I think it was Swan Hill Chemicals come looking for it. They didn't find much. I did go in straight away with a samurai just to kill anything that was there. To be honest.
Any beneficials left?
Well, you know, and I'm sort of more in the way is that I'll spray for it if it's not there. I'll still go in and spray for it because I don't want it there. I'll spend the money and I'll do it. And I've done it with apple moth last year too. Went in with a BT spray, even though there wasn't much around. I didn't want it. I'm trying to produce better quality for Chris's factory there and David's, and you know, and we didn't have much, did we, Chris, last year?
No. You did have some detections,
Yeah.
higher than average detections, but when they went back into the orchard and tried to find them, we couldn't. They did actually find a couple, but nothing like they found.
Maybe they were in their pockets.
Maybe.
Yeah. Other words, I don't know, we're trying to grow these nuts. Oh, it looks like I've got an off crop this year. I was expecting an on crop, but we've got trees there with no nuts on it actually. My wife's looking at me, where's this money going to come from?
Maybe we might bring that
To
back.
pay the bank, okay?
We might get back that in nutrition perhaps.
No, we're doing soil tests, and I'm giving the tree what it needs with what the agronomist says with the soil test. And later on we'll start pushing nitrogen and potassium, but we're just feeding it nice so it keeps happy. The trees look good now actually, even after the wind yesterday, blew a lot of shoots off. How's your farm, Ryan?
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, same. It knocked a lot of shoots off yesterday, but the trees are actually looking real healthy at the moment. Even though we've got a light crop at Zara Lane, it's probably going to do that farm good because it's always suffered because there was 50 years of grapes there growing with flood water, probably pushed all the goodness out of the soil, and they probably need a year without any crop on them, with not much so the tree grows more, hopefully, I'm thinking. So we'll see what happens, I suppose. Yeah.
Ian, is there an IPM practice from today that you might implement on the farm? I know Peter's not going to use any beneficial.
No.
They're all gone.
No, we'll let you know about that soon.
I have looked into the wasps and all that sort of thing. It's yeah, like I say, the monitoring. I'll get someone to monitor and I'll go on their advice. But I've been growing stuff my whole life. I'm probably opposite to Peter. I never use pesticides. I rely on keeping the natural equilibrium, like you said, and I think that you can cause major issues by upsetting the natural equilibrium of your orchard, and often you'll see something that's in quite high numbers one year, and you don't do anything about it. Next year you have nothing. Whereas if you go in and nuke it, you know.
No, I didn't nuke it.
There's a difference between
a
table grape grower and a wine grape grower, I suppose, or a veggie grower. They used to just, got to nuke everything. But
can I tell you something? I used to take the nuts to the factory last year. I think I told Chris when I lifted the bins off, there was that many lady beetles on the floor of the tray. I don't spray with poisons in the nuts. I've got lady beetles everywhere. I've got natural predators everywhere. It's only that one time I went in with samurai late after the season was finished. Other words, I'll keep them natural predators there.
Very good.
To control this new millibug that's going to come out.
Righto, any IPM?
Not a concentrated IPM. We, like Ian, we don't spray any insecticides per se. We do spray Macazet, which does have a negative effect on beneficiaries. But over the years, David's been an advocate of planting tree barks and a lot of native vegetation and a lot of natural vegetation, which we find very high numbers of predators in the orchard. So we try to steer clear of insecticides. This is probably why my great fear of Carpophilus, because I'm not too sure where the end point is, whether that's going to mean a Peter Holt treatment later on in the piece, or whether we can continue to use a softer approach.
Okay. Irrigation decisions, basin, water prices, how do you manage that? Start with Ryan.
Timely, I've got the irrigation manager here, Luke, and we were talking today prior to the presentation about orchard uniformity and how much work we've done this year, just changing some blocks out with drip and looking at our fertigation uniformity. So that's the major part of that is obviously to increase yield and increase quality, but the kickback is that water prices look like they're going to increase, and making every drop count. That in line with our series and irrigation monitoring ensures that we can irrigate to the right depths and fertigate to the right depths to suit the tree.
I think on series you're the only grower that put their hand up today about that. Do you want 2 minutes to explain that? But probably not long enough, but...
Well, series is something that we started 5 years ago. And we did it for a few years, and unfortunately during the really bad year that we saw no production, we let it go for a year or so just because it was a cost we didn't need. What we saw in those few years was a trend to certain areas of our orchard that were perhaps getting a little bit wet. Some orchards that through the nutrition management we could see that the trees were a little bit unhealthy. Luke can pick up, as we saw today, individual rows where drip lines are blocked, those type of things. Unfortunately, it's a snapshot, so we only fly 3 flights a year. But through NDVI, you can see the healthier tree, and you can pick up those trends year on year. Obviously, Luke uses the shovel majority of the time. It's just another tool.
Yeah, and you would have been using soil monitors at probes.
Yeah, we use.
So you found it additional benefits.
Absolutely. It confirms the green brain, and which is like the graph that was up on the board that Jeremy put up. So all those 3 tools all at once help us with water efficiency.
Yep. Ian, want to comment?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. That you've got to use probably several tools to get it right. I've got EnviroScan probes. I'm pretty used to them in grapevines, and they work pretty well there. I don't find they're as useful in trees, so I'm probably still learning, about the water use of pistachios as my pistachios get older and more mature. Obviously, EnviroScans only have like a dinner plate size, that they're really monitoring at any time. So there's probably better technology around these days. I think there's technology that actually reads the water use from the actual tree and stuff like that. Maybe that's more useful for pistachios. Maybe. I think there's a lot of talk about with the water situation, and they talk a lot about megalitres per hectare usage, and to me that's kind of irrelevant. It's about profit per megalitre, and luckily for us in the pistachio industry, we're probably one of the higher value crops that there is. So as the water price goes up, we'll probably survive, whereas a lot of other industries will probably fall by the wayside as if their commodity price is low and the water price is high. There's a lot of those industries that will just not survive at times when the water price is north of 600 or more, and that might become a more regular thing if obviously Phil Graham's presentation was quite sobering for us all. So but hopefully as pistachio growers we might be able to weather that storm a little bit better than many other crops. Hopefully.
Short and sweet, Pete.
I'm using Green Brain, the same as Ryan. I think they've been bought out by an American company now called CropX. Otherwise, they just monitor the probes, the depths, and just water into that probe at the moment until it gets a bit warmer. Then we'll start watering a bit extra, I suppose. Otherwise we're doing the same. We're keeping doing hygiene under the tree, blowing. I did develop my own blower off the mister. Just disconnect the pump and run the mister, and I keep I can get it out about a metre away from the tree, but I've got to work somehow out to suck that nut up and crush it up. Probably a mulcher. Probably have to buy a mulcher next year. Something that creates a vacuum to lift that nut up and break it up, so we can do more hygiene. It's clean under the tree. Yeah. Otherwise, I think everything's going to be right. They just got a crop.
One for you, David. What sets Australian pistachios apart, and can that translate into higher prices going forward for a number of years?
Who gave you that? Who gave you that question? No?
Not myself. Stacey.
The answer is not much. I mean, I think we've got to be real here. We live in a commodity world. Pistachios. I defy anyone to sort of go to a store in Australia and sort of say, you guys are probably better off, you people are better off than most, but to go to a store in Australia and pick an American pistachio versus an Australian pistachio. And why would you pay any more for something you can't see that's different? So I don't think there's a whole lot. We have got, a pretty good marketing team that can sell the sizzle, if you like, that Australian's better than anything else. And I think it is. I mean, it's better as far as freshness goes. It's closer to the closest point of market. We have a lot of oversee on what we do with the Australian pistachio. So naturally, we would go and sell that. And naturally, we think we're right. We're not selling a sizzle. We're selling something that we would believe is factual. But the reality is, a pistachio is a pistachio. A pistachio is a fantastic food. Australian pistachios are just a wonderful, packet of nutrients, protein, all those other things you want to eat every day. And they're also green, one of the only nuts, the only nut that I know of, maybe there's some other obscure ones that can add that sort of other element to a food, which is that green tinge, which is fantastic.
Green colour.
The green colour, yeah.
Do you want to elaborate further perhaps on your question to Nigel this morning about this growing supply and price?
I think you can't deny the forces of supply and demand, and that's been the way of most crops. And you would go through these dips where demand or supply outstrips demand, and you'll get a reduction in prices, which then sort of starts to sort of self-correct. Now, it either self-corrects because people don't grow them, or it self-corrects because the price of the commodity comes down, and it becomes a whole lot more attractive to other people to say, "Oh, I can do something with that now because it's hit the right price point." So you start getting development into other areas of food production. One of the things I've seen just of recent times, and I suppose it hit me with the Dubai chocolate sort of phenomena, is that pistachios are being, seen everywhere, and they're being seen. Okay, well, this is really good. Let's put them everywhere. So you can see it from pistachio, milk. We're in overseas recently, and you can see you could order a pistachio latte, so coffee with pistachio milk in it, and it was great. But you're seeing pistachios everywhere. And we've seen almonds infiltrate every corner of the food industry. You could walk down an aisle, any aisle in the sort of food part of the supermarket, and you'll find that almonds are an ingredient in one of them. And I think what the industry is doing, and with the focus or the focus that pistachios have had with Dubai chocolate, you're now seeing it everywhere. And that's a really good thing, because that will sort of increase the consumption of pistachios just because it's out there. It's on front of mind for a lot of people now, so that's good. And I think that whilst I do see the prices coming down, it'll self-correct, and I think long term it'll be fine. But we're going to have to hold on for a while as those price increases over the next 5 to 10 years.
Maybe for you, Ryan, with your experience at Boundary Bend to the Cobram Estate brand, any scope for Aussie pistachios to do something similar?
Oh yeah, I think as Nigel referred to today, there's definitely an opportunity for us. I suppose it's just the matter of the right time and doing it properly. And I think that's what APPC is scoping out at the moment, just how it's going to be done, and when's the right time, what's the right opportunity.
Any marketing from you, Pete?
I just want to see more money for these nuts for our effort. That's honest. I'm being honest. Yeah.
Got it easy, these APPC guys, haven't they?
Yeah.
Grab nuts, just.
I think Nigel will do all right. Hey, Nigel.
He's gone. He's
gone.
Gone to work.
We all want to see more money, and I think it'll grow. David, what do you think? It'll grow more.
The price, you mean, Pete?
Yeah, the price.
Or the volume.
I mean,
Well, you got the Australian market. You've got to lift it up a bit more, you know.
Yeah, we've got the Australian market, and we've got people like Audi, who are the largest single seller of pistachios in Australia, will not buy Australian pistachios at a premium at all. So if you can't match,
you've got the poorest quality nuts too.
Actually, David, David.
The public's got to be educated.
Advertising.
I've taken your nuts to papers and they say, where do you get these? We're using the rubbish from Aldi.
Last year I bought nuts from APPC. They were okay. I didn't think they were Australian nuts. This year I bought them. They were beautiful. What did you do different?
What you did, Peter?
Yeah, no, I had to buy a box because I got paid out because I need to pay me bills. I bought a box and they were beautiful nuts this year.
I think to answer your question, Peter, and Chris, those who've heard Chris, is right. 24 was a terrible year as far as quality goes. We're dealing with a natural product, and nature can dish up what it likes when it likes. And there's a whole lot of stuff we can and can't do about it. And if you get a wet year with pistachios, you're going to get stained product, and it's not going to look as good.
I wasn't worried about the stain on because I'm a grower, but the nut itself, the kernel was beautiful this year. Good, crunchy.
Just seasonal, but yeah, I'm pretty concerned about the increase in production, to be honest, and obviously the numbers were quite scary, and as it does become more of a commodity, like David was saying, it's the price is going to come down, and I'd be pretty concerned for people that are getting into the industry at the moment that it's a long time before you get a return, and by the time you do get a return, the price is not going to be, I don't think, anywhere near what it is today. But and then there's the processing. David spoke earlier about the cost of processing, or Nigel might have mentioned that it's just horrendous to. The infrastructure and the reliance on gas. There's no alternative to be using gas, and that's going to, the government's only going to make it more difficult from an environmental point of view. So, and processing is a very large, fixed part of your cost. So, the price does need to remain high for it to be viable, and that's not always going to be the case. So, I'd probably just warn people that, just to work on the worst case scenario, don't work on current prices. I mean, you see people seem to plant things when the price is high for some reason, whether it's olives or almonds or citrus or whatever, but you really need to do your sums on the worst case scenario.
Fair to say you did that, you planted when prices are
high?
Well, it wasn't a big reason for me planting it. That wasn't my main reason for doing it, but they were okay at the time. I mean, they've held since I planted, but the increase in volume in the last few years has been exponential, and the industry's a lot different to when I started. Yeah.
Yep. David, can we build more on the Dubai chocolate craze than we already have?
Well, I certainly hope so. I think so, because I think it is going, it's moving and you see the graphs that Nigel had put up. We're moving from that just almost 100% snack product into something different. So it's snack and ingredient, and we need to build on that to sort of absorb the volumes that are coming our way. I hear what Ian's saying about, be careful about growing a whole heap of pistachios, or if you do, and I have no problem in doing that, but what we're doing, because we have a lot of faith in the industry, we have a lot of faith in the product. It's a great food, high protein. It's it's using good resources to produce that food for the humans to eat. So we have a lot of confidence in it. But I think you do need to do your homework well. You've got to do get the economy of scale right. You've got to understand that you can be at least profitable when things are bad or cash positive. Those things, those fundamentals that as business people, and that's what you are, you have to do. I think that from an Australian point of view, you can see that California is going to get quickly to 2 billion pounds of pistachios. And what are we going to be? 10,000 tonnes? So what's that? I can't do the conversion. 25 million pounds. Yeah. So
it's a bit short of 1 billion.
It doesn't matter. It's a rounding error as far as the world production's concerned. But what does matter is exchange rate and what the Californians do. So providing we have got really strong market forces in California that are sensible, set the prices properly, and people that, the wonderfuls of the world do that, and the others follow, well, I think we're going to be okay, because they are driven by pure commerce. So they're not as knee-jerky as you can see in the arms industry, where there's multiple layers or multitude of marketers that try to cut each other's lunch. So I am very optimistic about pistachios, but as in any commodity, as in any agricultural crop, you will have the highs and lows. You just got to gear yourself up to survive the lows and make sure that when the highs come, you put a bit away.
Yep, very cool. Time goes out. Maybe some nutrition. Ian, as a result of today, any change of plans, how you might attack the season ahead with the nutrition program?
Absolutely, yeah. I thought that the Cortiva presentation was fantastic. It's probably something I've spoken to a few growers about. It'd be great to get perhaps a nutrition program on the website, maybe. You're talking about fact sheets, Brenda. I reckon that'd be a fantastic one to have a full year's nutrition program put on there. I think Chris Joyce, I think he keeps it a bit of a secret because he likes to win the big grower award every year, so he doesn't tell anyone how to do it. So
it's not Chris Joyce, it's Denner Barron. It's been very great. Come on.
So it's something that I'll definitely I took a lot out of today, and it's something I've got to look at more. I think those micronutrients are very important in pistachio growing, and timing in agriculture is always a big thing.
I think just as a comment on that, as a PGA research body and executive, whilst we'd like to make recommendations as a prescriptive model, it's treading into very dangerous territory if we put up a model on site and that was to go wrong, and then litigation in this country is horrendous.
Right.
So I don't think the industry's going to go there, but as a result of today, there's nothing to, and that's what today, events like today are important, as are our pit groups. You should pick up information from that, but as a group, I don't think we can legally or want to go into that territory.
Okay.
But
which I'm sure you are, if you are ready, to attend in December. Louise Ferguson will give almost identical paper to what you heard today on overall nutrition, micronutrients and all that. That presentation today was, I think we've heard Patrick Brown give it before, haven't we, Dave? And you're right, it was an excellent presentation. It's difficult to see and difficult to follow. Here I say too much information to stop, I know. But that's why you go with the short course, and that's frankly why you buy the UCD California Pistachio Name.
Is it in there?
Californian Orient. It's got that stuff in it, that stuff today is very good.
And also, Julia Marino, who was the author of some of those graphs, cited Julia, she's Louisa's successor, and she's the other person coming in December.
So you're not booked in, just
Get
do
it
it.
from the first author this time instead of the second author.
Bill, you've got a question?
There's nothing wrong with putting up a recommendation. You can always put a disclaimer to protect yourself.
Don't trust your lawyer.
There are fact sheets on the website about just about everything you could ever want, actually. A lot of them are historical. We are doing an update on a series, and Ben's going to be part of that. So there will be things. To how much we want to be prescriptive, I think.
Every farm is different.
I don't think we will be highly prescriptive, but it will provide information for individuals to make decisions based on their own conditions.
Mr. Cortiva.
No, that is
Thank you.
not maybe enough time, but that was kind of our intention. I do believe when I talk with the growers, and I was on that side before, it's more about some kind of principles that you start thinking, and some of you are already doing that. What is that element? What is the role? I know that sometimes it looks heavy or something, but once when you start thinking, this is mobility development, this is where we need to look at the symptoms and things and deficiencies, that can help you to understand.
Sorry.
Yeah, that can help you, because we have different sites. Yes, we are in Australia, in a specific region, and pistachio is not spread so far. But if you start to increase mobility development, this is my soil pH. We have here slightly acidic, enough zinc in the soil, so you can think, yes, this is the prescription model, but because I have enough zinc in the soil, and it is available, it is soluble, I don't need to apply maybe 3 times foliar. And yes, model is there on that side, and we can help to do that, to provide that. But that is the reason why I like to present this kind of thing. Just we can start thinking how something works.
Yeah, and that's what this session is about, I guess, challenging some of those concepts that have been brought today. Pete, have you anything from today that you're going to change or alter, or are you sticking to your tried and trusted method?
No, we just, this year for vertigo, we just done soil tests, seeing what it needed for now, and it was actually short on calcium and magnesium. So I was going to just order some gypsum, and it had too much sulfur in it. So we changed to calcium nitrate because the ground already had sulfur in it. And we went to magnesium nitrate. And that's all it needed at this moment. And one farm needed a bit of boron and a bit of magnesium. In other words, it was okay. Yeah. In other words, soil tests, and in a couple of weeks we'll do PDL tests on the leaves and that, and see what micronutrients it needs, and go from there. Yeah.
Are you leaf tissue testing?
Yeah, PDL test. Yeah. Yeah.
Ian, similar?
Not at this stage, no. I'm in pretty fertile soil, so I'll just play it by ear at this stage.
We'll do a PDL test now, and we'll probably do one after harvest, just to prepare it for post harvest. Yeah.
Right, any examples of where nutrition issues may have led to your pest issues?
There are real examples in the pistachios, but I have had it before in olives, definitely, where we've had an imbalance in our nutritional program, perhaps been a bit heavy on nitrogen, and then the trees then all of a sudden start to catch everything that goes around. So I suppose our key is to make sure that we've got a very balanced program, and that we're feeding the trees a little bit regularly to make sure that they're kept up with their health.
Yep. Given your experience with almonds and olives, you're probably ahead of the curve than the rest of the audience in terms of pest management. Do you want to maybe outline what you're doing practically in orchard sanitation, harvest, post-harvest, winter, prior to the new crops? I think you're actually raking the rows now and burning, are you?
No, but we did learn it this year, and one of the things that we learned, we tried to sanitise the orchard a bit like almonds. So waited until the rain came and frost, and shake the tree, try to get the racus down, and then go through and fly it. Unfortunately, what happens though is the pistachio leaves are that bloody big that you can't get a good suck up off the ground. You're actually trying to mulch leaf rather than the nuts, the other thing that we realised is most of the fruit that we're bringing down, or most of the mummies that we're bringing down were blanks at that stage. Yep, there were still some full nuts, but there was a high proportion of blanks. So our program for hygiene will start directly after harvest. In fact, nearly follow the harvesters, where we blow any fruit that's on the ground, because we believe that that is full of nut. That's come down with the harvest process. We will flail then, and then we'll flail again in winter time. But the winter burden, the winter fruit load won't be as great as just straight after harvest. So we've added an activity straight after harvest.
And your winter shake though, post the rain process?
Definitely winter shake, but our problem this year was we didn't do it until winter, which meant that food source was there until winter. We need to get rid of that straight after harvest.
Probably important for the rest of us to pick up on that.
Ryan, excuse me for a minute, Chris. Ryan, how did you get rid of the nuts after it was on the ground? What did you do?
Flail mower.
The flail mower. Did a orchard one or a forestry one?
No, an orchard one. Yeah, not a forestry.
Done the job?
Yeah.
Sucked them up?
Yeah. Well,
created a vacuum?
Well, not so much this year, because we had the leaf litter there that was actually created.
Well, didn't do that, wouldn't chop that up neither?
It chocked it up full of leaf and didn't allow it to spin as quickly as it should, and therefore do its job. Next year will be a lot better. You've got to remember that in almonds, we're dealing with a bare surface and trying to suck almonds up.
Yeah.
This has got grass, and there's a little bit to learn.
I'm sort of pricing up a mulcher now, a 3.5 metre one, a forestry one. It's probably going to be probably 60 grand, 70 grand for this mulcher, just to do that one job. Not that we can buy it now, but maybe for another year or something. See what happens. This is a forestry one, you know, that's why they're worth so much money. Just so that they'll create that vacuum as they're on top of the ground. You can go under the dirt a little bit, just to try and break that nut up for sanitation. Yeah.
We have an FAE in the almonds.
Yeah, an FAE, yeah.
You almost need that. There's an almond one in there that sort of goes into the ground.
FAE, it doesn't actually go into the ground. It's got blades on it, the same as a flail mower. And if you do go into the ground, you wear it out pretty quick.
Yeah, but are they? That's not a forest run. That's just a flail mower.
No, I've got an FAE.
Yeah.
And a flail mower.
Is that a 2 metre one, 1.8 metre?
It's a bit bigger actually.
Yeah.
On the sanitation thing, I've got a Tenace harvester. That's the over-row one. I think that it's going to be. My trees are still pretty young, so I haven't had to bother with too much sanitation yet. But I think the benefit of the Tenace is you can go through really quick in winter time. You could even catch. You would catch the nuts actually, and you could take the nuts out of the orchard and burn them if you're really worried about it. I think that's probably the best way to do it, because I think you're going to struggle to pick up a lot of the nuts with a mulcher. And I was saying that I'm sort of lucky and unlucky in that we get a lot of gallows, and they seem to eat most of the nuts. And I was glad to hear that it's the mummies and that are not such an issue. It's more the nuts that are left over, and I find if you're careful with your shaking, you sort of don't have a hell of a lot left on there, and the ones that don't come off, you can shake them as hard as you want, they're not going to come off anyway. So and most of the ones that are left on there tend to be a mummy or a blank. Yeah.
The number that stood out to me today from that talk this morning was spending $1,000 an acre, I think, was it? Acre? He talks about
Yeah.
Yeah, that's US too, isn't it? So that's
Converted, I think it was 1,000 Aussie.
That was Aussie, yeah.
Aussie was, yeah. So,
But
to an acre, or did you convert to a hectare, or just an
I
acre?
went down to $1,000 an acre. This guy actually, surprisingly enough, he's learned to speak Australian pretty quick.
So, Chris, as an industry, which you're across the numbers pretty well, I know you deliver sermons about it, in terms of quality, what's it costing growers now with this insect damage stain, this orchard sanitation? It's become one of your mantras.
At the moment, I don't think insect damage cost any growers anything last year. because the incidence of the damage was relatively small. The damage was the adult boring a hole in the kernel, and when you looked for it, you could find that hole. A consumer eats a pistachio and goes, click, look, and unlike an almond kernel, which is sitting there as a kernel, and you can see the bloody hole in it. To date, we have not had, APPC has not had one consumer complaint about insects from last year. Hasn't had one consumer complaint this year, so far. You know, only October, with 6 months to go. But that's at the level of damage we had last year, which across the crop was relatively small. I think across the industry it was something like 1% of nuts had a hole board. The concern that I and the rest of the research committee of the PGAI is we're sitting there looking at what it's cost the almond industry. Okay, almonds is a $1.5 billion business, 160,000 tonnes. The best numbers you get out of the almond industry is you are talking about grower losses of tens of millions of dollars a year as to what this is going. So the preoccupation that the PGA has got about pistachio cup offals is not so much what damage it did in 25 crop. It's the volume of them and what happens when that volume goes to astronomical levels. Not so that your total crop damage is not 1%, but higher than that. The official estimate of the almond industry, based on processed nuts, is it's 3% across the total industry. But the genuine estimate is probably close to 5 to 7%, because a lot of them are eaten in the orchard and never make it to the processing factory. They're broken up by the time they get there, so they're gone. You start talking about 5% damage on our crop now, then you're talking serious numbers. The other problem pistachios have got, because we've got the shell, there is no way of isolating the insect damage before it gets to the consumer. You can't see it. So that's why there is the preoccupation, and it's, you know, what C&B Farms has done this year is they've spent a lot more money on sanitation than you normally do, don't you, right? And so's Skylar. We've done a similar thing, and we've run into a similar sort of problem with Ryan, and we'll be a lot smarter at doing it next year. And obviously that will be shared through our industry. But it's the potential damage to cup offals is monumental. And it, unlike Heliothis is a relatively easy insect to control. Australian agriculture has been living with it for hundreds of years. And you know, tomato industry is still there, and they're doing okay. It's a big pest at the moment. And you can probably live with Heliothis because it's controlled. Right now, there is no guaranteed control of cup offals. The pheromone traps that was referred to today by David, he was talking about next year. That is my understanding of that science and progress and registrations, that is a very optimistic prediction. I personally would be surprised in another 3 years before that's available. And the chemicals that they've got to control cup offals and almond, which is horrible. They're going to put everything. And you know, a lot of almond guys are really worried about trying to work out how to do it. And heard Peter Holt's comment about maybe we put it on the floor of the orchard straight after harvest. There's all of this stuff there. All of this is research, and it's going to cost the industry money to solve. But you sit there and look what it's cost almonds, and you start saying, we spend it now. We get to the top of this. I think it's worth asking David whether he can break down those figures, because in my understanding a lot of that was around navel orange, which we don't have. And, sorry, those almond losses were Australian almond losses. Nothing to do with California. I was talking about the figures that David put up on the American spend?
The pesticide, his insect control being $1,000.
It was the sanitation.
Yeah, it was on the sanitation, but my understanding that was more focused on naval orange work. Yeah, absolutely, it's based on naval orange work, and David would argue Carol in Australia would behave exactly the same. So the reality is, Carol has not developed into a massively serious pest in Australia the same way as naval orange work has in California. Count Caraboss caused a huge reason history over the generational and family arguments over the time. I'm not trying to discount that, but no, Carpophilus is not naval orange.
David's got a comment. David has a comment here.
I think, we've had the insect problem in the pistachio in California for a long time. The leaf-footed green leaf. No, it doesn't matter. Crusader beetle caused a lot of trouble earlier on as well. But the issue, the learnings they've had in California over countless years with navel orange worm is very, very difficult to control in the tree through chemicals. What they have found out is the best thing to do is just complete sanitation. And so they spend most of their money, I didn't hear David's account today, but my understanding is most of their money is spent on, tree sanitation, even so far as going through poling almonds off trees, so you get down to something like 3 kernels an acre type thing. That's how diligent you need to be to control now in California. And that's the lesson that we've got to learn is that, this is a sleeper for us unless we get onto it straight away and our practices change from sort of just being box ticking with sort of rudimentary sort of sanitation. We've got to get really serious about it and knock this off now.
My observation, which is probably as an industry, that's where we would be starting to focus some of our energies that many of us aren't undertaking sanitation to the level we need to. I can understand what's keeping Chris Joyce up at night at pistachios. It's the moth. David, what's keeping you up apart from Nicky wanting to walk the El Camino in 5 years when you may be not up for it?
It won't be 5 years, I can tell you. There's not a whole lot. I mean, I think I've reflected on. Obviously, pricing is the issue for all commodities, and it's something we don't have a whole lot of control about. I think the exchange rate is one we have no control about, and that's the one that can really hurt us badly. And it has nothing to do with farming practices, supply, demand, water quality, water quantity, all that kind of stuff. So FX is the one that is something we've just got to live with. I think from our point of view, what we're trying to do is to make sure that we're in the 25% lowest cost quartile in producing a kilo of pistachios, or really anything. So you can survive those times when the pricing is not as good as it is today, and that's really about getting economies of scale right for us.
Ian, I'm interested to hear what keeps you up at night. Plenty, I'm sure.
For me, it's agriculture in general, not just pistachios. It's probably government decisions that really concern me, whether it's water, energy, net zero, all these things are, it's almost like the government is extremely anti-agriculture in Australia. They're doing everything they possibly can to put us out of business. That's a real concern to me, and the compliance thing, which kind of ties in with that too. When I started growing pistachios, one of the main reasons was we didn't even have quality assurance at that stage, and now we're going down the compliance road, which we all hate. We'd all rather be out on a tractor than worrying about doing pointless bookwork, but that's become a part of agriculture now, and for you know, the family grower, it's a major issue, and I really worry about the future of agriculture in general in Australia, and I don't really know. I mean, if you try and look at something what's worth growing, and you know there isn't anything really. I mean, everything's so costly to develop now, and you know there's so much uncertainty with particularly water, I suppose, but just compliance in general. Yeah.
Victor. I'll beat you.
What keeps me up at
And
night?
I'll beat you.
The tractor does.
He works all night.
I'll get up and I'll go to work.
He's a machine.
Ask me why.
Table grapes, don't they?
She said he
I think I'm going the other way. I think nuts will be okay because they're dry. You don't have to sell them. Table grapes, which I grow too, they have to be sold. They can go off. Nuts can be dried. They can be stored. Right, David? I think they'll be right. It's just the price might come down a bit. Maybe I'll survive. The corporates maybe not, because they've got all that labour, all your costs. I can imagine your costs.
Ryan's expensive.
I might survive.
Ryan's expensive.
Because I can do a lot of work ourselves. If the bank leaves me alone. Yeah. Otherwise, I think it'll be all right. Because the world's growing. It needs food. It just, yeah, as David says, the exchange rate, trying to get that dollar, you know. Yeah, I suppose we'll just have to see what happens. Yeah.
You might be the next George Soros. Protect yourself for 5 years.
Optimist, realist.
We've got to eat. Everyone's got to eat. Nuts are dry. They will store. Correct?
Yeah, glass half full, for sure.
And they've got good vitamins in them.
Stuart Resnick's right beside us. Stuart Resnick is right beside us. Ryan's got to go in about 5 minutes, literally. Any questions from the audience? Brenda?
So we're about 30 minutes over time now, so we're planning to finish at 3:30. We'd love to have a few minutes just to wrap up, get some feedback on some of the practicalities of the day. So just bear that in mind. If we could all start thinking about wrapping up, but I don't want to stop conversation, but I think we could do it less formally if we could wrap up. That would be great.
Obviously a great deck and great view here, especially when you come from an arid zone like I do. I love the water. The jigsaw here aren't opening, but I gather you can buy them downstairs and come back upstairs.
What sort of drinks, Chris?
I think there's not an open bar unless APPC going to open the pockets. No.
It's an open bar.
Brendan, you want to come up and do that session now, like the 5 minutes? Do you want to do?
If the questions have more or less finished.
Oh, yep.
You talk about the dollar. In money terms, like what kind of raise would affect like return for the grower? You know, like a 10-cent rise, you're talking about 65 cents now. If it goes to 75, it could be, you know, what does that correlate to in losses?
Go to the chairman.
One US cent results in 20 US cents, 20 Australian cents a kilo to you, Louis, and your grower returns. If the Aussie dollar goes from 65 to 66, that will cost you 20 cents a kilo.
So if it goes down, it's better for you if it goes down.
Oh yeah, and if it goes down, you'll pick up 20 cents.
Dollar cheap's good.
If the dollar goes from 65 to 75, which some pundits are predicting, that's $2.
$2 a kilo.
Yes. That's right. And that's what David's been talking about once or twice or 3 times so far today.
Yeah, that's what I thought I'd ask.
That's why David worries about the exchange rate.
And to be clear, and to be fair, not fair, but to be clear, as I understand it, although things have changed, APPC don't protect our exchange rate on grower behalf.
That's not quite right.
Okay.
If APPC's made an export sale, they'll cover that immediately.
Yeah, so you cover on the day of the sale.
You know, APPC doesn't take out currency risk today, which they could do. In fact, any grower in this room could go to their bank and say, I want to take a hedge, current Australian 65 cents, and if the Aussie dollar has gone to 70 cents next March when you harvest your crop, they'll pay you $1.50. right? And if it goes to from 65 to 50, you'll pay them $1.50 come next March. Every grower's got the ability to go to a bank and hedge their currency. Sure, we've all got a currency risk, and then you've got the risk. You can go to a bank or some other sphere.
I can't speak for the horticulture industries or growers, how growers do it, but I know the wheat game, which of course
So is
a lot of
the point of APPC hedging 40%?
No, we don't.
APPC does not get into the currency hedge market, right, at all. Right, if they make an export sale today, we think this is a good price because the exchange rate 65 cents.
Yeah.
We go to the bank and say we're going to get this money from the customer in 3 months' time. We take a 3 month forward cover, fix the price at the exchange rate on that transaction for 3 months in advance. Okay. That's on an export sale, but it doesn't do it with respect to the crop. APPC does sell some nuts for, as Nigel reported this morning, some nuts have been sold today, which we're looking at pretty little flowers on the trees right now. Yeah. They've been sold, I don't know what percentage of that crop is, but some of it has been sold at a fixed Australian dollar price. Okay. And locked in. Now, if the price goes up between now and March, the buyer's done well. If the price goes down, APPC's will do. Now, APPC only does that with domestic buyers who they know are going to want contracts 6 months out. So there's quite a few Australian customers who wouldn't do that.
David might have a comment as well.
No, I think what Chris has said is right. APPC does not gamble with your money.
It's gambling, yeah.
So we have no knowledge of whether the dollar's going to go up, down, sideways, whatever. So we just don't do that.
It's like a water. There's no such thing as a water expert, and there's no such thing as a currency expert, is there? I mean, it's just gambling. Yeah.
Good question, Louis. Any more quick questions from the audience? No. Thanks, panelists. Pete, Ian, David, Ryan. Lucky to have you out stage. Thank you. Well, I guess, neatly tied in what went on today. You've had a great program. Thank you.